Welcome back to StabtheDragon Productions for episode number 249, as we continue our Canadian Whiskey Tournament Level 2, coming to you from Fort Worth, Texas on Tuesday, February the 24th, 2026. I think it got up to about 75, 76 degrees today. I've been studying Canadian whiskeys and conducting a small tournament with Seagram's VO and VO Black, VO Gold, and the Gold won that portion of the tournament. And then we started looking at Canadian Club Rye, right here, Canadian Club 9, and Canadian Club 12. And the 12 won that competition. And we looked at Black Velvet, the 8-year Reserve versus regular Black Velvet, and surprisingly the regular Black Velvet won. And you do the tournament blind and weird things will sometimes happen. But then last time we looked at the VO Gold versus the Black Velvet. So this is the championship round, and the VO Gold won that one. So now this is a double elimination tournament. So today we are pitting the Canadian Club 12-year versus the Black Velvet. And we'll see who wins there. All right, so both of these whiskeys have already been thoroughly reviewed. We'll compare all the points head-to-head and the notes from those reviews to see which way we're leaning. But really the winner is going to be determined strictly by nosing, tasting, mouthfeel, burn, and finish. Now, if there is a tie, then price, value, and availability will enter the picture for the tiebreaker. The taste test is conducted blind. I use these blacked out glasses. On the bottom are numbers 1 and 2. Number 1 is Black Velvet. Number 2 is the Canadian Club 12. You'll be able to see those numbers. I will not. And then just for fun at the end, I try to guess which is in which glass. And my percentage of wins there is hovering around 50%. So this is harder than it looks, I'll tell you. All right, so now let's look at the reviews of these two whiskeys. History. Canadian Club as a brand stretches all the way back to Hiram Walker in Detroit, Michigan. 1858, he moved across the river to Canada because Detroit was coming down hard with some basically pre-prohibition type laws. The 12-year-old, though, some sources say it was released in 1984. Other sources say it stretches back to the 1970s. I've seen a picture of a bottle that was dated 1977. So, finding the official release date can be difficult, but I tend to think it's in the 70s. It is currently owned by Pernod Ricard, the French company. Black Velvet stretches back to 1951 is where I'm seeing that this was released, but the company goes back at least to 1946. The Toronto Gin Distillery in Gilby, Canada, led by Crosby Hucks, and then the master distiller was Jack Napier. Then they began experimenting with a few other blended whiskeys, okay? They had several names: Old Gold, Special Gold, Red Velvet, Royal Velvet, and the favorite ended up being Black Velvet. And it became a bestseller around the world, basically. So much so that the next owners, International Distillers and Vintners, they built a new distillery out west in Lethbridge, Alberta, and named it the Palliser Distillery. Palliser was the name of an explorer in Canada, I think. So that distillery came online in 1973. Today, the brand is owned by Heaven Hill. That's a fairly recent acquisition by Heaven Hill. So again, this is a case of a Canadian whiskey being owned by, and somewhere in between, I think Diageo owned them, right? But I think now this is owned by the American company Heaven Hill. So for history, if we just focus on the label of these two whiskeys, then I'm going to give the advantage to Black Velvet because Black Velvet as a brand stretches back at least to 1951, whereas the Canadian Club 12-year maybe just to the 1970s. So advantage to history here to the Black Velvet. Bottle label and marketing. This is kind of a tough choice. The Canadian Club bottle's really pretty plain and basic. The Black Velvet bottle's got a little extra fancy going on there. It's a nicer bottle. And as far as the labels go, though, man, I really like both labels. I'm going to give the advantage again to Black Velvet. And then marketing is heavily in favor of Black Velvet. When you just look at all the different commercials, and if you research ads on YouTube, you'll find a lot for Black Velvet. You'll find some for Canadian Club, mainly Canadian Club 100% rye and the regular Canadian Club. But for the 12-year-old, not hardly anything. So Black Velvet wins for bottle, label, and marketing as well. But if you look at the appearance of these whiskeys, the 12-year-old Canadian Club is significantly darker. I know there's not much whiskey left in there, but it is significantly darker. And I just, aesthetically, I prefer darker whiskeys. So for appearance, the Canadian Club is going to win that one. Composition. Finding mash bills for Canadian whiskeys is almost impossible. But what you get is, the processes and in this case, age for the Canadian Club. So I'm going to give a slight advantage to the 12-year-old Canadian Club for composition because it is clearly labeled 12-year-old. Although, Black Velvet's got some things in its favor too, but I'll go with the 12-year-old for composition. Now, flexibility. I like both of these whiskeys neat. I don't normally drink whiskeys on ice, unless it's high proof and over 100 proof. I may put it on ice. Both of these do work as mixers, though. And so I think the 12-year-old, though, with its flavors, here we go, is going to hold up better under ice if you want ice, and hold up better in a cocktail. That 12 years really does make a difference, I think. So for flexibility, I'm going to give the Canadian Club 12 the win for that. Price, value, and availability. Both whiskeys are widely available in all the 3 big box stores that I shop at here in Fort Worth. And they're both available in the 750, so that's good as well. They're available in the 1.75 also. The CC12 is almost twice the price, though, of Black Velvet. And really it is, twice as expensive. So is the quality of the Canadian 12 twice as good? Is the value twice as good? That's going to be a hard call. But at the prices, you're looking at about $20 here and about $10 or $11 here. So, value, I think, is going to lie here. But that's what today's competition is designed to prove, isn't it? So we'll hold off on price, value, and availability. They both have good prices, but granted, the 12-year-old's twice the price of Black Velvet. So will the value show? We'll see. Bonus points. When I was reviewing both of these, I gave the Canadian Club 12 5 points. Black Velvet only 4. We'll see again if that holds up tonight. So let's get to the whiskeys. I will start on the left side. I don't know which is which. Very faint smell. Pleasant. A little bit of maybe molasses mixed with some maple syrup, wood, leather, maybe dark fruits. It's very pleasant, just not real strong. but I have a terrible nose for the nosing of whiskeys. One on the right. And typically with me, for whatever reason, the first whiskey I smell pretty good, and the second one, I don't smell hardly anything. Like this is definitely fainter on the nose. It's a very similar nose. Maybe not quite as sweet. A little bit of leather, oak, maple syrup, but just not quite as rich as the first one. So I want to say the one on the left wins the nose, but that is almost always the case with me. My nose just really doesn't work. So now let's move on to the tasting. And since the one on the right had the more faint nose, I will start tasting with the one on the right. And they're both 80 proof, so neither one of them is going to have a proof advantage. The Canadian Club, though, obviously has some years in the barrel advantage. And this is going to be difficult, by the way. I really struggled between Black Velvet and VO Gold. Could not tell them apart. I guessed wrong about which whiskey was which. This one, the taste is a little bit faint, actually. It's pleasant. I really do like both of these whiskeys. Hints of maple, wood, just a little bit of the leather. But all in all, the taste profile there is a little bit weaker than I had anticipated. So nothing negative there, just a little bit faint. One on the left. I think that one's got a little bit more going on, taste-wise. Maybe. This is going to be ridiculous. These whiskeys are so similar. I do think that's the stronger flavored one. I'm going to give taste to the one on the left initially. I might change my mind here. I don't know. Let me go back to this one on the right. This one seems a little bit deeper, but the mouthfeel doesn't feel quite as rich as the one on the left. I mean, there's not much difference. One on the left, I think, had stronger mouthfeel burn. Deciding which is going to be impossible. It's going to be a coin flip. Go back to the one on the left. I think this is the sweeter of the two. Flavors are different. This one's a little bit, bold is not the word, sweeter, kind of makes itself noticed more. The other one's a little bit more deeper. Mouthfeel, burn, and finish. This one may have the advantage. This is ridiculously hard. Don't try this at home. All right, I came into this fully anticipating that I could tell the difference between the two. And advantage I thought was going to lie with the Canadian Club 12. I genuinely don't know which is which. See, now I'm thinking the mouthfeel goes to the one on the right. I think the mouthfeel, burn, and finish goes to the one on the right. The flavors are enough different to where I think, I like both. Which one would I rather drink? See, now the one on the right is really creeping up on me. Huh. The one on the right is just not quite as sweet as the one on the left, but it seems to be deeper and richer. The one on the left is a little bit more bright and sweet. So it's almost like, well, on Mondays I'm going to want one, on Tuesdays I'll want the other one. All right, I've got to choose something, I guess. I'm going to say the winner is the one on the right. Even though the taste on the one on the left initially got my attention, I think the one on the right has a little bit more staying power. All right, the one on the right, I'm going to say is the winner. And I think that's going to be glass number 2. So let me declare the winner is the one on the right, and it is glass number 2. There you go. That's the Canadian Club. And so glass number 1 is the one on the left. That's going to be the Black Velvet. So I got that right, but it was difficult. And eventually I could notice the difference in flavors between the two. I genuinely like both. The Black Velvet on the left caught my attention right away because it was brighter. Hey, me, it's like waving at me. Hey, me, choose me. And it was sweeter. The one on the right, though, was like deep and steady. And that kind of caught my attention eventually. So the winner can get a cocktail, so stand by and let me make a cocktail. And I am back. Made an old-fashioned Canadian Club 12. Got an orange peel in there. A couple of cherries. For sweetener, I used maple syrup because for whatever reason with Canadian whiskey, I do get maple. And I think it's because they're allowed to use maple wood. And with the 9.09% rule, who knows? There may be like a used maple syrup barrel that they aged this whiskey in somewhere. I don't know. But I get maple with Canadian whiskeys. All of them, seems like. And then for bitters, I used the Aztec Chocolate Bitters by Fee Brothers and the Turkish Tobacco Bitters by Fee Brothers. Because with Canadian whiskeys, particularly, I get a leather tobacco note, hints of chocolate maybe. And what I have just discovered through the years is that these bitters really work with Canadian whiskey. So here we go. And that is an amazing old-fashioned. Again, perhaps a little bit too much maple syrup. I prefer it not to be quite so sweet, but this is still really good. So I just have to cut back a little bit on the maple syrup. So an old-fashioned for the winner, which is Canadian Club, and we got a bottle kill as well. Next up, we're going to do Canadian Club 12 versus Seagram's. Now, I have another bottle of the Canadian Club 12 in anticipation, so I do have that. So that will be next up in this tournament. This is StabtheDragon Productions out here.